women, or men, who have kept their virginity until marriage due to tradition or religion. What was the first night like? Serious. My husband and I were both virgins when we got married. We finally lost the V card 3 days after the wedding. On our wedding night, he couldn't get the right angle to get in and had a premature detonation. I was too shy to help guide him in. He said, "I'm so sorry." And then we went to sleep. Repeat for a few days until finally boom. It hurt for a second and it was over another second later. We've been married 10 years now. We're happy and have a good, healthy sex life. I think we're both rather easygoing and found it rather funny. It helped that neither of us had high expectations that it was going to be magic the first few 50 times. We still tease each other about it now. Premature detonation is my new favorite phrase. Edit. Now my top comment so far is about popping your cork before the glass is out of the cupboard. My wife and I were both virgins when we got married. The first time was great and funny to look back on. I didn't even make it fully inside her before blowing my load, but after 15-20 minutes we were right back at it and had better success. We went at it at least one other time that night and then were humping like rabbits as soon as we woke up the next day. So much sex that week. Virgin here. Getting married tomorrow. I'll let you all know. Yeah. Edit. I commented on the post. But makes more sense to edit. This is what I commented earlier today. Whoa. Definitely should have checked this in the morning. Currently pooping to respond. You're welcome. First time was awkward. Short. Really funny. And she said I need to try to thrust longer. So that was funny and demoralizing. Also lingerie looks really good on beautiful women in real life. 2. Anyways, I'm going back to banging my wife. Edit 2. And I will clarify. She said that jokingly. We both knew going into this that I wouldn't last too long, haha. Edit 3. I'm pro now. I'd rate it a solid 10/10. Not because of the SX. Because it was not the best SX ever. Not even close. But because I enjoyed figuring out this new and really surprisingly complicated thing with my husband. And it was enjoyable and fun despite not having mind-blowing or guess MS. Also we ate a whole pizza in the huge jacuzzi tub during the pre and post SI times. I'd recommend that to everyone. The main thing I'm learning from this thread is that most couples eat pizza in their hotel room on the night of their wedding. Short. Disappointing. And shameful due to the duration. Happy to report that practice makes perfect. And it's fun practicing. It was fine. The most awkward part was that both of us forgot lube and texted the maid of honor, asking her to go to a store and get us some. The big problem that we have is that we were together for 4 years before we got married, so we got really good at not having sex. Even after being married for a few years, we sometimes seem to forget that it is just a thing we can do instead of watching old Futurama or Top Chef. My wife and I both waited until marriage. Our first night was a disaster. We actually got walked in on by strangers while we were stripping in our hotel room because the hotel switched our room last minute and forgot to give the other couple a different key. It took me quite a while to get it up. I wasn't particularly nervous. I think the little guy was just shy. She said later she didn't even notice. I spilled the entire bottle of lube in the middle of the bed. Although it was kind of a disaster, we were able to laugh about it and we still had fun and look back fondly on the night. Edit. Since a lot of people are asking about it, we knew we were going to need lube because a side effect of her birth control is that it makes her very dry. My husband and I were both virgins when we got married. I was a very plain 19-year-old and he was 25 and never had the opportunity. Our wedding night was awesome and hilarious. When we got to the hotel, I put on my brand new silk nightgown and he turned on the radio. We started getting used to the new freedom when Let's Get Physical by Olivia Newton-John came on the radio. We felt it was a sign and just went for it. We were giggling so much. We made love 3 times the first night and the same song came on during each session. It made it so memorable. It has been 35 years and that song still makes us laugh and run to the bedroom. The sex is still awesome. Might be a little late to the party, but waited till marriage and it was great. I even lasted longer than I expected. That being said, the reason I lasted longer than expected was 5 minutes before we had at it I shaved my recently groomed downstairs with a single blade Bic razor that the front desk lady brought up to me cause I didn't want to have 5 cock shadow for the first time my bride saw my genitals. Needless to say, I had razor burnt my wedding tackle right before losing my virginity. It only hurt on the in thrust so at least I had that going for me, which was nice. My husband and I were both virgins when we got married. We were very excited, not only to have sex for the first time, but to get to live in the same house, go to sleep in the same bed, etc. Up until we got married, we never spent time alone together in his apartment or my dorm. It wasn't as if we just had great sex immediately. I was painfully tight and also a bit fearful. And he couldn't last for very long, but that didn't really matter. We talked openly and just spent time together and touched each other and enjoyed being together. And laughed a lot together. We played rock paper scissors for who would take their clothes off first. Close bracket. So honestly, the first night in terms of sex was pretty disappointing. But neither of us were disappointed because we weren't just looking forward to sex. We were looking forward to being married. And we were thrilled that we were finally married and got to live together. By the end of the honeymoon we were better at just the little mechanics of sex. And no less thrilled to be around each other and be married, and be naked. My husband and I both waited until we were married. But on our wedding night, I suppose from all the commotion and stress from the wedding, my husband came down with a high fever about the same time we made it to our hotel room. So we just ordered in a pizza and went to sleep. The next day though, we gave it a whirl. Or tried. I should say. I'm not entirely sure how much of it was because of our own inexperience and how much of it was because of my husband's disability, mild cerebral palsy, but we couldn't get it in. Tried and failed and switched positions and tried and failed until we gave up and just did other things. Epic disappointments for both parties as far as having real sex goes. It's like you wait your whole life for that one moment and then it just doesn't work out the way you had imagined. Lame. I got drunk at the after party. Woke her up in the middle of the night to have sex. Couldn't get it in. Couldn't keep it up. I found out that whiskey dick is a real thing and that it is very tiring to be on top. So that was my first night. It's pretty memorable to say the least. She likes to poke fun at me once in a while about how eager I was and how sleepy she was. What a gal. I'm glad I married her. The after party. You mean the wedding reception? Guy here. Both the wife and I waited till marriage. It went very well if you ask me. I was a bit nervous and so was she. She said it was a bit painful at first but got better as we progressed through the night. Had a blast on our honeymoon as well. Love her to death. Been married to her for almost 8 months now. Mine was actually pretty unforgettable. I wanted it to be special and memorable. So we rented a really nice hotel room with a jacuzzi. I bought a really nice white lingerie set. Got a bottle of wine with 2 personalized wine glasses. When we got to the hotel after the wedding, I immediately jumped in the shower because my hair was covered in birdseed. After my shower, we got in the jacuzzi, enjoyed some wine, and made love. Twice. After the second time, we got some junk food from the vending machine and reminisced about the wedding while eating it. Left the next morning after breakfast and stayed in a tiny 1-bedroom cabin off the grid for a few days. Absolutely perfect. I wouldn't trade it for the world. That night meant so very much to me. The sex itself was pretty much what I expected. It was painful for about the first 3 months. But that goes away. My husband and I were both virgins on our wedding night. We had fooled around a little. But that was the first time we actually had sex. It was amazing. No complaints from either one of us. Is it just me? Or do people like it when people's experiences with this are horrible? First times, from what I understand, are usually not the best for anyone. Anyways, my first time with my husband was good as far as first times can go. It was almost just too overwhelming even seeing each other naked for the first time. I was shocked that his dick was massive. I guess it's really not. But I hadn't seen an erect dick before, and what I was thinking was, how is that supposed to fit in me? Full stop. We couldn't get him in and able to move. So we waited. Then we woke up in the middle of the night and tried again and got it to work, haha. It was a little awkward, but super exciting since it was so new and weird. It's way I better now cause sex with practice gets better. 5 years. The other night we had a mind-blowing time and he said, wow, I've gotten a lot better at this. Also, coconut oil was discovered at about the 6 months mark. Probably your average first timer situation, i.e. quick. A little painful for me. I didn't get much pleasure from it. Our honeymoon was basically non-stop sex and experimenting though. The real win was having a year plus of sexual tension fueling our fun for, well, still to this day, and we've been married 10 years. It never wore off. We still get hot thinking about that one time we almost did it, of which there were many such incidences. Pretty bad. It was the night we figured out she's physically incapable of sex. 15 months later and we're still in the same boat. Dude. There's a thread further up about vaginismus. You should read it. It's a treatable condition and very common. Man here. I was a virgin until my wedding night. Not by choice though. My wife was insistent on waiting. Anyways, I thought it was the best 30-second of my life. The only regret is that my wife didn't enjoy it as much as I did. She still doesn't. But I'm closing the gap steadily. I was Mormon and 22. I was a somewhat popular teen and had plenty of opportunity to mess up and never did. I thought having some special thing together with my wife was supposed to be the pinnacle of amazingness, so I behaved. I thought it was awkward and no big deal. And immediately regretted I made it such a big deal and thought of all the opportunities I passed up during that special moment. So what was supposed to be the ultimate gave me a surprising lackluster depressing reaction that I truly didn't mean to have happen. Egg on my face too. Because I had broken up with a girl before finding out she wasn't a virgin. And later on my wife admitted to me she hadn't been a virgin at all either. Divorced and more experienced now. So it's kinda funny in hindsight. I don't think it would be funny and probably would never admit it if I was still married. I remember her throwing me down, climbing on top, and her putting me in. I can still feel it to this day. It was euphoric. First night was a bit difficult. I didn't really know what I was doing. But he was patient. He hadn't done it either. But we figured it out together. We didn't live together before we were married and we just wanted to wait for sex. It worked out for us. We got to know each other really well before we were married. And we're celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary later this year. So some might say we lucked out. I just think there's more to marriage than sex. I wasn't nervous. Because I just figured whatever we didn't get right we could talk about. Even though we were both sorely inexperienced. I knew we'd learn each other well. And we did. It was disappointing and fast. We've improved quite a bit. But we both agree that if we had known then what we know now, we wouldn't have waited for the wedding night. It helps that we no longer hold those religious beliefs. Dick is amazing. I didn't do my research and my now ex-husband was too small soft to break my hymen. Had to finger myself and stretch for 2 weeks before he could get it in. He also couldn't figure out how to get me off, so we worked out a system of verbal commands, and in retrospect I wasn't getting near a full orgasm. Ever. That lasted 3 years. Then we divorced BC. He was an abusive ass who didn't mind leeching off me and everyone else. I discovered masturbation. And oh yeah, came out. Man here. Honestly, it was great for both of us. Probably some of the best sex we've had. She had only ever seen little boy dicks in childcare settings. When she saw one on a grown man she noped out. We didn't have sex that night. We divorced 5 years later. When she still had not gotten over her religious conditioning against sex. I am now very anti-religion. Perhaps unpopular or unbelievable, but for us it was incredible. It symbolized how our love had grown since we first started dating. As Catholics, it was very important to us that we were both virgins when we were married. This is a choice we made and stuck to for both religious reasons and commitments to each other. The biggest relief, even now, is knowing that we have never slept with other people, so we don't have to worry about STDs or the like. When we see a show or read something that talks about the worst sex ever or the best, we really don't understand that, because as far as we know we're good at it. After a couple years of being married, it's still as good as the first time. Like I said, the peace of mind that I'm with someone I trust and know was worth the wait. TBH, I don't see the point of making fun of couples who both want to stay virgins. It's more the guys who shag around then want a virgin wife that I have an issue with.